All right. So we're recording. So thank you again, Dr. Cargile, for joining us this evening. I'm going to turn it over to our editor-in-chief to take it from here, because I understand you have about 5 to 10 minutes to spend with us tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I just got to be off. I have another interview at 8:30, so I just got to be off like by 28:29 so that I can
Okay.
go find the Zoom for that one.
Well, thank you so much for squeezing us in.
Of course, my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Yeah, seriously, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I'm Paige Atkinson. I'm the editor-in-chief.
Good to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. We have a couple questions already. The first one is that, in your professional opinion, would you lower the voting age, or would lowering the voting age have a great effect on California's polling?
On California, I think it depends. I think that's in an ideal world, I want to say yes, because I want to believe that all young folks are plugged in, but I know that that's not the reality. So I would say yes, with the caveat of this means then that both parties have to directly target and mobilize young voters, right? So that means that we have to. That also means I actually, excuse me, I think that we need to have a stronger civics education in our high schools, right? So that if, let's just say, we lower the age to like 16 or 17 when folks are still in high school, that there's actual direct mobilization that is happening there. I know that the K-12 system or the high school systems, some school boards are very hesitant about letting politics get in the mix. And I know that sometimes even in government classes, from few articles that I've read in the Chronicle of Higher Education, where people get, or school administrators get, really hesitant about allowing politics onto the campus. And so I think that in order for something like that to work, the lowering of the age, I think it has to be a concerted effort where if we're going to do that, then let's actually mobilize young voters. Let's educate them. Let's give them the tools that are necessary for them to be able to understand why their political engagement is so important and why we need their voice. So I would say yes, but I think we also need other things to also happen to make it more fruitful and make it more dynamic and make it more worthwhile.
Thank you. Our next question is, are you surprised by how quiet our local voting locations have been today? Did you expect long lines or demonstrations nearby?
I actually did expect more long lines, just because based on the partisanship, based on what we anecdotally know about Kern County and particularly Bakersfield, that it runs more conservative. I know that there is a lot of hesitation on Republican side to vote by mail, even though in the state of California, it's been pretty safe. Governor Gavin Newsom has been very straightforward about how the process is going to work. But I know, just looking at public opinion nationwide, Republicans are hesitant, saying that there's going to be fraud and all of these different things are going to happen with mail-in ballots. So with that, I would have thought that maybe more you would have seen more Republicans going face to face today. So that is a little surprising, but again, good, because then it doesn't put our the folks that are working the polls at too much risk. I mean, that's always a good thing, especially given that the pandemic is still in full force and effect in the background of all of this. So yeah, I mean, that's a little surprising. In terms of demonstrations and protests, I think I've always thought that today was going to be the chill day. I think tomorrow, tonight, well, maybe not tonight, but tomorrow, I think we might start to see some more action happening, just because, we'll know a little bit more in regards to the outcomes of the election. I'm hoping it stays peaceful, but.
Thank you. And so our next question, we were kind of waiting on it to see if there was going to be any results that would have come in by now, but right now it's pretty scarce. But when it comes to Prop 16, I just wanted to know your opinion on how that would shape, if it were to pass, how it would shape college campuses.
So we have to be really careful with Prop 16, because what's been the narrative that is out there is that part of the narrative that I've heard out there is that if Prop 16 passes, then affirmative action will be implemented. And that's not what Prop 16 says. All Prop 16 says is that now affirmative action won't be outlawed the way that it was with Prop 209 back in the 90s. So what the passage of Prop 16 would do is that now if universities were interested in engaging in using affirmative action when thinking about who they're going to admit to their campuses, then it wouldn't be illegal for them to do so, and it wouldn't be illegal for them to put in on applications and official college documents. So in essence, what it does is that it takes the shackles off of these public institutions to be able to use it as a tool for purposes of diversity. So my thought is that if Proposition 16 does pass, the hope is that it will diversify our college campuses and our higher education more than we have right now.
Do you think that the higher education institutions in California will take the opportunity if the ban is lifted to start to work to diversify the campuses?
I think some would, yeah. I don't know that all of them will. Private institutions wouldn't have to do anything, but I think some of our public institutions probably would, like the UCs and the Cal States. I mean, the Cal States are pretty good when it comes to diversity across the 20 plus campuses, but the UCs have had a harder time with that. So I think that they might do it to boost their numbers in terms of admits who are Black, Indigenous, and of color.
Thank you so much. I'm going to open it up to everybody else who's here to ask a few more questions since we have more time. Does anybody have anything that's on their mind? Come on, Damien. I know you have something.
Well, I mean, I was wondering if you were knowledgeable or like know stuff on the local elections for Panama and Buena Vista.
Oh, I actually am not. I'm not following that. So I will admit I haven't been in Bakersfield since March. I've been quarantining with my family down south. I'm in LA, so I have not. I even moved my voter registration down here, so I'm really not following those really close local elections. So sorry, I don't know very much about those.
No, you're good. Thank you.
If Dr. Martinez comes on, he might know a little bit more.
Well, if you don't mind my asking a question, even though I'm a faculty member, I'm just curious, as a fellow faculty member, what are you hoping that CSUB students really take away from experiencing this presidential election?
I'm hoping, my biggest hope is that they understand how important their voice is. Even if things don't turn out the way that they are anticipating, I hope that that doesn't diminish hopes that they should vote again, right? I hope that this election is evidence that, that every vote does in fact count. I think this election on many levels, whether it be at the national level or even at the local level, at the statewide level, I think there's a lot of competitive races. I mean, the California 21st between TJ Cox and David Valadeo, I think that race is going to be extremely close. And for those types of elections, every vote does in fact count. I mean, the last election between TJ Cox and Valadeo was a difference of a couple hundred votes. So I really do hope that our younger voters and our CSUB students, all of you, walk away with, like this is a lifelong habit that I have to vote during every election. Be as knowledgeable and educated about the different races as you can be. Nothing is perfect and it's impossible to always be fully knowledgeable, but the reality is that the vote matters. It's so important. If it wasn't important, then all of the different voter suppression tactics that have been tried across the country would not be a thing, right? If the vote didn't matter, then we wouldn't see we wouldn't see all of the upheaval that we are seeing and that we've seen over the last couple of weeks. So yeah, that's my biggest hope, that people walk away understanding how important their voice is.
Thank you so much.
Of course, it's my pleasure.
Does anybody else have a question they want to throw in real quick?
No worries if no. Totally fine.
All right. Well, thank you so much. You have 4 minutes to prepare for your next interview.
Thank you. It's definitely going to be needed because that one's in Spanish and I can only do so much. That was in a whole other language. All right, everyone, have a good night. Good luck with everything. And hopefully you're staying caffeinated, hydrated, and fed.
Yes.
Awesome.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
for all you guys do.
Thank you.
Bye. Good night.
Bye.